The Open Bracket Week 2 is back for North America. Obviously, Europe has already done their business and they're into the relegations. And these teams in North America now fighting for the same sort of opportunity in the relegations as well. Only difference is, totally, there's a lot of mix-ups here this week from what we can tell. Like a lot of teams that did well last week either haven't returned or not done as well as we expected.
No, not at all. A lot of teams are definitely sometimes discouraged after their last performance in week 1. So it kind of whittles away the teams that are more dedicated and serious about taking it further in Season 4 as we approach.
Now, we did see Gabe's team, in memory of Gabe, which is Snoopy and friends, basically doing very well for themselves last week. They're back again and doing the same sort of thing. However, their opposition in the finals last week was Cope's team. Unfortunately, they're already out this week. In the round of 32, they ran into a team called First Rounders. And the first round is made up of Benny Q, iFate, and I believe as well Giliara's on that roster, have already defeated them, then Team Way, so they've already moved on to the quarterfinals.
That's the scary thing about best of ones. You never really know what to expect. There could be a lot of strategies that have been executed and practiced very frequently in scrims, and if you're not ready for this one strategy in a best of one, it's going to surprise you. And now they have, what, 2 points from this week, 60 points from last week, so still sitting at a relatively comfortable spot, but it's going to be very important now for the rest of the North American standings for week number 2.
As you can see, Astral Athority sat on 40 points. They came third last week, and that's going to be the game where we start off in the round this week, round of 16, up against Nightmare Asylum, who are a roster of basically players who've put themselves together. We'll see how they're going to do today. It should be an interesting game between the two. Obviously, Astral Authority have a team together that's been together for a while, totally. We saw them in the Saturnalia coming up against Jeff Hindler and friends.
Yes, the old COG Prime doing wonders against that team. The team Astral Authority is comprised of Mangoh in the solo lane, fineokay in the jungle, Sheyka middle, FaymousHate in the hunter position, and for Guardian we also have Leftsyndrome. So a lot of players that basically play ranked in the diamond level or above will recognize these players, as well as anyone that you see in the stream. You'll see all these players. We also see some former SPL players, FaymousHate, playing in Season 2 as well.
We'll see what they can do in the first round of this. Obviously, round of 16, I should say, of the live broadcast, and we're going to go through every single round, hopefully, into the round of 8 and semi-finals as well. So let's go into picks and bans between this one and see how things will play out, because the main thing you want to look at with some of the teams that you don't recognize overall, with like Nightmare Asylum, is how the picks and ban strategy works out.
At this point for Astral Authority, it's just don't get surprised. Play your game. The players comprised of Nightmare Asylum, relatively unknown compared to the players of Astral Authority. So as long as they can go into this game and not get surprised by any invade shenanigans and start off their game, play their own momentum style, you know, let fineokay get up to the momentum that he really needs to, that should be the key for Astral Authority's success.
And you talk about, you know, not being surprised by things. Well, that's one of the reasons I believe they've taken Thanatos off the table. Obviously very aggressive in the early game, potentially looking for invades, and Nightmare Asylum don't want to deal with that. But by banning Ra as well here, they have left a lot of things on the table.
Nike.
One of them, Nike, for sure.
And we'll see if Astral Authority elects to go for that option. There's a lot of things to be able to go for, or instantly, no hesitation, the passive too strong, giving your team the movement speed, the power as well. As the game progresses in 3 different stages, you know, you just got to get the minions, get a few kills as well, get 2 members at level 20, and then boom, your team is benefiting so much off of that passive.
Well, Nightmare Asylum now have 2 picks for themselves here. We've seen a lot of drafts of Zeus and Sylvanus. I don't know if those guys are going to go for that sort of thing, but there is a Sylvanus hover right now and potential lock-in. We'll see how that works out for them. Obviously, Sylvanus has been risen to fame over the course of hi-rez Expo more often than not. We didn't really see it before that. I guess
Super Regionals.
Super Regionals with Eager was probably the first time we saw him come back into favor once more.
Eager versus Soar, that whole set, it was a 4-game set where Soar only took 1 game, but every single game that was won was with a Sylvanus pick, and we just get to see it yet again, more favored for this kind of god. It has to sustain, it has a lot of control if you can mechanically hit that root, hit the pull as well, and in the jungle side, you don't want to be too close to him to get knocked up.
A little bit surprised by the Rama pick here when you're up against a Nike as well. I know it sounds a bit weird to say that, but with the Rama here, you're normally looking for a magical AD carry in this sort of meta that we've been in for a while now. Rama is one of those hunter ones that can be flexed in, but given a magical AD carry potential over to Astral Authority with a Nike alongside, the extra movement speed is really useful.
This could be a thing that Nightmare Asylum is just comfortable with in the hunter position. They elect to go for the Ram. It has relatively good early laning clear with a Sylvanus, and that could be some kind of early laning pressure that they want to elect to do. Maybe invade some boards on top of this. Maybe go for an early Gold Fury, especially if the Sylvanus will elect to go for an early Hog.
Hades is a little bit suspect here. However, it could be up against Nike, and that's the main focus of this, because you can cancel out a lot of Nike's damage in the lane. Remove some of her wave clear with the Fear that can actually cancel out her abilities.
Definitely want to be able to stop the lane clear potential from the Nike. Now with the Ratatoskr, that could be flexed between the solo and the jungle between that Nike and Ratatoskr, but with the Janus, it would be very beneficial to try to synergize the double global pressure and maybe look for some side lane ganks.
Funny enough, though, tier banned out by Astral Authority here. They don't think Nightmare Asylum's going to be running that Hades in the solo lane if they're banning away tier here. So Hades, according to Astral Authority, is mid lane now. We'll find out if that is the case as the draft continues to develop.
Hades is definitely good in terms of lane clearing as well as counter lane clearing. So if you don't instantly burst it down, the heal will keep it alive. And that's very annoying for not only your mid laner, but your jungler as well. As they're just going to be sitting there waiting for the lane to hit their tower, whereas the enemy team will be able to rotate and get some buffs.
Very risky from Nightmare Asylum in one way, because I can see a lot of lane clear, lane pressure. Focus on laning phase more often than not here. Hades good in the laning phase, be able to clear very quickly. Same with Chaac overall. But when it comes to the team fights, that's where they could start to struggle. They're very short range AoE ultimates that they've got available to them here, but they've got to get into the backline to allow that to happen.
A lot of control though so far, a lot of big circles in terms of the jungle fights between Sylvanus, Hades, and Chaac. As long as they are able to synergize those ultimates very effectively, one after another, and the team fight doesn't last too long, that should go in Nightmare Asylum's favor. But Astral Authority definitely has a little bit more mobility on their side between the Nike passive, the Janus ultimate threshold, Ratatoskr global limit, and obviously the Soul Disapparate.
And the globals, like you mentioned there, Janus, Nike both have globals, Ratatoskr semi-global as well with that available to them. A lot of survivability on Astral Authority and rotation ability, whereas Nightmare Asylum now picked up the Arachne as well, more than likely for the jungle here.
It seems that this kind of composition between Nightmare Asylum is just more comfort pick for them. Having the Arachne, it could snowball very effectively if you know how to efficiently lay down the eggs. You drop one at speed, one close to blue, but not to instantly proc it, so that way when it does proc at the speed buff, your eggs, you get a second one, so you can effectively clear it faster than the opposition, and then you can get to the laning phase and then look for some invades.
We'll see what Nightmare Asylum have seen of the Pro League and obviously the World Championships as well, and see if they're ready for potential invades, because that's what Astral Authority have already started off doing here. Straight into the enemy jungle, looking to pressure potentially, and you can even see what's going to happen here where they actually pull, fineokay pulls the actual Spider Camp to reset it, because it does put it on cooldown, obviously.
It's very important to be able to just group up as 5, look for the warding potential. It's very safe. They have one in the mid lane, even one on the left side mid Harpies, and now one at the speed, and this is more of a defensive measures than offensive. They just want to make sure that Nightmare Asylum is not going to be the ones to invade them.
Totally. I see a sprint on the side of Chaac here, on the Kens here, on the solo lane. How are we feeling about sprint start here?
I think because it's not just a sprint on the Chaac, it's also the hog on the Arachne. So it's probably the combination of clearing the speed and the blue very quickly, and then maybe looking for some laning pressure in the solo lane. Get that first wave, get the Fire Giant Elementals, maybe go back to the solo lane and sprint, maybe killing Nike really quickly, especially if the Nike player doesn't get the leap quick enough.
With Sylvanus being on this right-hand side of the map as well, they gave the blue buff over to the Sylvanus here and not the Chaac. That's an interesting decision from them there. We'll see how it works out for them. Because bringing the Sylvanus over, you generally would expect a potential invade. It's over there for protection, I guess, but with the likes of a Chaac and Arachne, they could have gone aggressive.
We've seen a lot of aggression so far in the meta, but Arachne taking a lot of poke, instantly having to use that meditation, but now Kurtman gonna get pulled level 2 on the side, but fineokay isn't done yet.
3 members here for Nightmare Asylum trying to push back Astral Authority a little bit, but with Janus turning up, don't forget these are all level 2 here on the side of Astral Authority, and there's still 2 members of Nightmare Asylum at level 1 there. Justing in level 2 there is KingVesper in the jungle on the Arachne.
2 defensive relics having to be used by Nightmare Asylum just to survive the early level 1-2 pressure coming out of Astral Authority, so I like the aggressiveness. Now, they didn't look for invades, but they know what they can get away with.
Still looking to pressure onto the tower here, Astral Authority. Good pulls coming out from Sheyka there, just to confirm some unstable vortex. This minion wave still not dead yet. They're trying to sustain back off it there using StDk, Hades, and the sustain he's got, but pressure is on Astral Authority.
It's not just the Hades, it's also the Sylvanus, like you mentioned before. Having the blue buff on him is very beneficial to Nightmare Asylum because Chaac doesn't really need that blue buff. He has his passive with the 5 stacks.
Hades just dashed in, but they didn't manage to grab him. They abducted a different target. Arachne goes onto Sheyka on the backside, but instead he takes more damage than he expected to. He's forced back again. The sustain, as you mentioned, from Nightmare Asylum is just keeping him in this fight for now.
It's only a level 2 Arachne, so that bite from her first ability is not that powerful quite yet to get the health back that she really needs. So still relying on the sustain from Kurtman and StDk at this point.
Well, you can see the the hunters there on the left-hand side continue to farm up. Don't don't forget, they've been alone pretty much for the entire game. So they will escalate to later levels very, very quickly over here, as we keep an eye on Mangoh looking to avoid damage from the axe there, which was pretty nice. And with the Chaac jumping in there, he took a little bit of extra poke from those archers.
Unfortunately, the Chaac can't really stop Mangoh from lane clearing. I would have liked to maybe see some more pressure coming out of Hades to stop it, or even go for a lane swap. We've seen Chaac mids before. FDOT would definitely be having the time of his life if he saw that. And having the counter matchup would be just too beneficial for Nightmare Asylum. We would see more of a gold disparity. Mangoh would be constantly pushed back under his tower as a result.
And you talk about gold disparity, there is one already here. It's approaching 1,000 gold at the start of this game. The 1,500 experience is something that I've noticed even more so in less than 3 minutes this is built up. And you can see the difference between the mid-jungle supports of each team.
And that's because they've been sharing just too much between 3 players on the side of Nightmare Asylum. You know, sharing the speed and the blue, going into the mid wave together, also getting pressured out. So they did lose some farm in the mid lane as a result earlier on. So I definitely want to see Nightmare Asylum be able to pick things up. They can't allow themselves to get aggressed on and not clear waves. This is how you let a lead snowball out of control. There hasn't been any kills yet on top.
But with how you look at the map right now, Sheyka is level 5 on the Janus, and Nike invading here. The speed buff already looking to secure that, and will do so with the use of the Hawk he'd started the game with. But on the left-hand side, towards the mid, more pressure here, and it's actually Sylvanus in trouble, but a great play to get him out for a second until fineokay cleans up.
Chaac coming in with the ultimate, doing a little bit of damage, but fineokay landing on the spider. 2 kills on the side of Astral Authority. They're still pulling them out because they found the speed buff, and now if they really wanted to, they can continue the pressure onto the blue.
Taking it in turns of Astral Authority to go in one at a time here. They could have potentially found the kill if they would have communicated a little bit more. However, Leftsyndrome a little bit greedy there, trying to dive the tower for the big old play. Did have his ultimate available, obviously, if he took too much, but his team were not on the same page.
You could definitely tell that Astral Authority is already very comfortable at the 4-minute mark with this lead. Just their style of play, their positioning on how far advanced they are on the minimap, even taking that solo buff invade with the Wrath on the side of Mangoh, which was a fantastic play. Very calculated, very safe. You know, Nike has a lot of escape options between, obviously, her escape, her 3, and then also her ultimate, giving her that shield as well as the slow if anyone's nearby.
And the biggest key here is you can see the level differences once more. Look at Arachne, still level 4, whereas fineokay, after picking up those 2 kills in the jungle, now level 6. Level disparity mid as well. Still wait for these ultimates on the side of Nightmare Asylum. They're trying to get up to that level now where they can start to fight back.
And if this trend continues, Arachne will fall behind, and now Nike trying to save fineokay in the process, but not really going to like to want to dive that tier 1 tower. With the ultimate, though, the slow, that could be problematic. Sprint is on cooldown.
But there's split targets here. They were looking at the Arachne and the Chaac at the same time. If they would have gone on one, they would have found a kill. Sylvanus now coming over here for Nightmare Asylum to force them back on the side of Astral Authority to their own half of the map. The ultimate used there onto Mangoh, but Mangoh doesn't care. Mangoh wants a kill, and Mangoh will get the 3rd kill of the game. Nightmare Asylum, not on the same page.
Great rotation from Kurtman, but unfortunately the Chaac and the Arachne were just too far away to really follow up. We saw the Chaac use the axe, Torrent defensively to get back into his tower, but he needed to go back in.
And now reinforcements are here for Astral Authority. Now 3 members on this right-hand side. Still looking to try and pressure the jungle. Nothing really available. The Abduct there coming up from Leftsyndrome a little bit too early, but the damage coming out of Mangoh is insane, and he's still going in Meditate Forced as well.
Probably bit off a little bit more than he could shoot, but the Khepri ultimate keeping him alive a little bit longer. Great survivability here from Leftsyndrome. This is why they elected to pick the Khepri in the draft. They did find some bans away from the Athena and the Freya.
Mid lane, there's a dive onto the Hades as well with space and time. He's going to fall down less than 6 minutes in. It's 4-0, and they're starting to pressure down the towers. Just keep an eye on that left-hand side as well. We've not really spoke about Sol, FaymousHate, but he's already chipped away at that tower down to about 70%.
It just seems that there's a big disparity of mechanical skill between these two teams. Everybody from Nightmare Asylum getting caught one way or the other. Everybody losing gold and experience. The Hunter's a 2-level difference. Solo and jungle is struggling as well. Every lane is just collapsing upon itself. And now Sol being left unchecked in that dual lane with the heat passive will shred that tower so quickly.
The start wasn't bad from Nightmare Asylum. The problem is that they're not communicating their skills and diving in without communicating it beforehand. And this is just allowing Astral Authority to play around these abilities over and over again and put themselves in a worse position.
Sheyka showing us why Janus is so powerful currently, putting himself in a very awkward position, but just portaling away back into safety. Also still having that global pressure if he really wants to, but instead utilizing it earlier on just to be able to find a kill under that tier 1 mid tower. As the game progresses, we are looking at the Hunters specifically between the Soul and the Ram. We could just expect Astral Authority to start throwing those through space and times in that general direction, collapse on this Ram, get him out of position, and then look for some Gold Furies.
Definite opportunity for Astral Authority to just extend their lead a little bit more now. With the level disparity, they can start turning their attention to the Gold Fury. They don't necessarily have to do the Gold Fury, but what they can definitely do is pressure Nightmare Asylum to force a fight to defend it.
Especially if Astral Authority can bully out the Arachne, making sure that there's no hog potential, invade steal, because they have to rely on maybe Mangoh making that rotation with the Wrath, but you definitely want to make sure that Arachne doesn't come from her ultimate, land down, and then swoop in for the hot steal.
Well, roaming around Astral Authority now, just looking for a rotation out of Nightmare Asylum, trying to find a pick. The red buff has just spawned on the left-hand side here for Nightmare Asylum. We'll see if they do head over towards it themselves, or if Astral Authority know what's up.
Almost a 4,000 gold lead already for Astral Authority. Not even 8 minutes into the game. No towers, no Gold Furies, just doing a great job being able to farm some kills, farm the minions left over.
Chaac's in a bit of trouble on the right-hand side here. The Ken's pinned into his tower by Nike. Mangoh doing a good job of proxy farming the wave now. And Chaac's been forced back to base once more with a full minion wave coming in. No teleport available for him as he did start the sprint here. So that's going to be a whole wave pretty much wasted to that tower.
Also losing that blue buff, so this is going to be really troublesome. It's not just about having the blue buff in terms of utilizing skills, because he doesn't need it with his passive. Taking a lot of poke, though. It's Arachne in the mid lane.
That portal unstable Vortex combo is just so strong, and the dot damage too. But it looks like fineokay's had enough of this. To the sky he goes. In response, however, though, we do see Arachne take up to the sky, but sadly enough, StDk, he can't get out of the danger zone.
Kurtman not in range to find the Ratatoskr with the ultimates. Unfortunately, the Arachne having to retreat onto the tier 2 tower. Now Mangoh in the mid lane doing a little bit of poke onto the Sylvanus. The rest of Astral Authority, they're thinking about what they really want to do. Do they want to collapse onto Kurtman or just go for this tower?
Well, they're starting on the tower, splitting the difference overall, but the tower is going to fall in the mid lane here with the Hades forced back to base. Khepri slightly out of position there, Leftsyndrome, but he's still got his ultimate up. Just keep an eye on it the whole time. Those spiders might actually kill him. Oh, Mangoh though in the back will pick up one. Hey, there we go. That's what you get, Leftsyndrome, for being a bit too cheeky, my friend.
You gotta worry about the globals, and now Rama provides you that semi-global rotation. He doesn't have to fully commit to the rotation. He just goes halfway. He finds the ultimate snipes, and then he can go back into that left lane just to be able to catch up and farm, because we still see that level disparity between these two hunters.
Well, it seems Astral Authority are very upset by FTSWord actually getting a kill there, because now they're starting to pressure the left-hand side as well. FTSWord, however, recognizing the situation, will fall back to his tier 2.
At this point, with it being 15% health, it was a very good rotation from Sheyka on the left-hand side. It was a 2-for-1 trade overall for Astral Authority's favor, so that's why they were able to make that rotation on the left, get their second tier 1 tower of the game, extending their lead even further.
Well, for the time being now, the boys of Astral Authority will fall back to their own half of the jungle. Not much to really clear up here, just balls and blue buff. For the time being, the items are starting to come through. You can see the gold difference overall on the map, but when you look at the items between the two teams, you can't see too much of a difference right now because you're still in the first item stage.
Not at this point. A lot of teams are still figuring out what they really want to get. These items are rather expensive, usually for their second items after the boots. And on top of this, I really like the patience and discipline out of Astral Authority for not going for the Gold Fury quite yet because of the whole Wrath disparity between KingVesper and Mangoh. Obviously, if Mangoh's not there and KingVesper is, that steal potential is just too high to worry about.
Well, right now, I could see even Astral Authority ignoring gold and maybe even looking towards a fire giant with how quick this game is going so far. For the time being, though, they're going to take the left-hand harpies. The right one's already down at the moment. War coverage down by FTSWord around the Gold Fury again, trying to keep an eye on it, but they've got to be careful in mid because there's no tier 1 tower here to defend to.
Sheyka could potentially throw out that threshold, but not going to find anybody with it. Kurtman going to get rooted. It's a place. The Stellar, the Supernova rather, going to find an easy kill on that one.
That's the worst thing about being Sylvanus is you get caught out of position. How do you really get away? Rooted in place, you need support from your team, and his team had already escaped themselves. Turn around and went, well, goodbye, my friend.
No tier 1 tower, unfortunately, but now Chaac having no mana, utilizing that passive just to be able to get off his own ultimate, but could get dove under that tier 1 tower. Finally now, 11 minutes into the game, though, the Gold Fury going in the way of Astral Authority. The Ram not able to steal away that one.
I love the attempt from Rama to try and do something about that one, though, but it was just a little bit too little, too late overall. Now Astral Authority looking to put the gas down again, stealing away the red buff, continuing to pressure. Obviously, there's only one tier 1 tower remaining. Scratched out, the minion's going to get it on the right-hand side as well. So now we're going to see Nightmare Asylum sat with just tier 2 towers
almost
remaining.
A 1,000 gold per minute lead on the side of Astral Authority. 8,000 for them in 11.5 minutes. This is just insurmountable at this point in time. Normally this kind of lead is at the 20 to 25 minute mark. There's still some comeback potential, but 11.5 minutes in, man, you got to feel really bad if you're on the side of Nightmare Asylum.
From my point of view, though, I'm looking at the picks and bans again. They've picked for lane pressure more often than anything else here, and that lane pressure would have worked in their favor, but the problem is that Astral Authority just knew how to deal with it better and pressure the map and pick up the experience that's so needed.
Mangoh finds one, and now through space and time, Sheyka going to take his own portal, find the unstable vortex, 2 kills on the side of Astral Authority, utilizing that Sanctuary, still buying some time.
Yeah, it's looking for a portal out, and we'll get one out. But meanwhile, though, StDk does pick up fineokay, who dived in a little bit too deep there. However, Leftsyndrome will clean up that problem. Rama's coming in the fight, trying to support with a very good Chaac ultimate. Will pick up another kill for the boys of Nightmare Asylum. Potential comeback here could be on the cards if they continue this way of going, especially with Astral Authority being so aggressive.
Still a 3-for-2 trade on the side of Astral Authority. KingVesper has survived along with Kurtman. The Soul wasn't there, was making the rotation from the left-hand side, also diving that tier 2 tower. Not the smartest thing in the world for Astral Authority, but with this kind of a comfortable lead, you could take these risks, because if you get the better end of it, like 3-for-1, 3-for-2, then you're going to start to be able to still get the minion wave advantage, which is so important in Smite. Every 30 seconds those come, that golden experience will put you ahead, especially once you deny it to the opposition.
Well, you see Mangoh still in this right-hand side. It was a rotation from Nightmare Asylum earlier on to try and pick Mangoh that turned into that crazy fight, and Mangoh still alive in the lane, happy to continue farming.
That's what you really want to do as a Nike player already. And another reason why they're going this aggressive in this ham is because of the Nike passive. They want to get over that 10 kill mark for that second phase. Obviously, having 200 minions is relatively easy to do at a very early laning phase, but that 10 kill, you have to be able to force the issue to get those kills and get that second phase.
We'll give a lot of credit to FTSWord here on the Rama. He's had a pretty good game so far considering his team. He's got a 2-level deficit against Soul, but some of that is down to global experience that's coming through for him. Mid lane, though, still more pressure, and once again, Arachne will take another tumble, making a 0-5.
fineokay didn't find the ultimate or the stun, but it didn't matter because the abduct was good enough to be able to follow up with unstable vortex. Sheyka, though, having to use the ultimate from Khepri to keep him alive. The tower and the Hades Soul
Rama
makes it
in
sure
the
to pop
sky,
it.
looking for it again. FTSWord can come up big for his team, and he will come up big for his team once more. Nice little plays coming out from Nightmare Asylum, but it's a little bit too little too late right now, as now FTSWord is surrounded. Chaac's trying to support to buy some time for FTSWord not to take too much damage, but Supernova just too good from FaymousHate.
3-for-1 so far under that tier 2 tower. They're going to be able to find the Chaac. Nowhere to go for him except the Graveyard, and now FaymousHate just going to absolutely melt that tower. Now Mangoh trying to stay alive a little bit longer, going to get hog stunned as well, but with Khepri here, should be safe.
And the tier 2 tower does fall, and now they turn their attention to the right-hand side as well. The tier 2 tower can be focused down there, fineokay. Got to split the difference, though, and start focusing the Phoenix and make Nightmare Asylum make a call.
A lot of gold on the side of Astral Authority, 11,000 already, and with that tier 2 on the right-hand side, extending it almost to 13. Second Gold Fury is respawning in about 1.5 minutes. Now, Astral Authority, they don't have to play too frisky at this point in time. With all the towers gone in mid and right-hand side, this does leave the Fire Giant very exposed and vulnerable for Astral Authority to complete, but it's still fine for them if they don't go for this quite yet. Still play it relatively safe.
They could do very well here. I mean, there's 20 kills in the game at less than 15 minutes in it, so you know it's been a fast-paced one from the outset. Overall, though, the one thing you've got to know about the open bracket is anybody can sign up for it. Nightmare Asylum have done well for themselves to get to this round, but they've walked into one of the teams that have been around the Challenger circuit for a very long time and even beaten some of the bigger teams that have existed in the Pro League.
And like you mentioned before, the second-place team from North America last week, losing in the round of 32 right off the bat, it was very surprising. So you have to take every single team very seriously in every single round.
Leftsyndrome looking for pressure here, thanks to the portal coming out there from Sheyka as well. Good ultimate coming out there from the Sylvanus, trying to keep himself alive for now. It bought a moment, but now that ultimate's on cooldown, it's a chance for Astral Authority to continue to pressure.
Very difficult to defend the middle Phoenix without the ultimate from Kurtman. That's a huge area of effect control necessary to disrupt the backline penetration between Mangoh and fineokay. Now, Mangoh, though, having to use the ultimate just to escape.
Good pulls coming out from Sylvanus over and over again here. Kurtman doing great work on that, but in the sky, I reckon he's forced up as well as the rat was around, fineokay around the back. trying to put pressure on once more. He's in the mid lane. Now Vesper's going to fall once more down to FaymousHate as fineokay can tank a couple of tower
Landing
shots.
back from the ultimate, but now through space and time. Doesn't connect, but putting himself in position for the vortexes. Now, Khepri stuck in the Hades ultimate, but it doesn't matter. Soul finding one, Mangoh finding another, fineokay finding the third for his team.
And now Nightmare Asylum are just falling down like dominoes. Only one man remains. Scratch that. FTSWord going to fall as well. And this could be the end of the game.
Should be it. With a minion wave, there's 5 members here from Astral Authority.
That's quick.
Very, very quick, easy, clean game, more importantly, out of Astral Authority. They didn't really overextend themselves unnecessarily. Now, that tier 2 tower overextension on the right-hand side was very calculated because of the whole Nike passive scenario, and they accomplished that team goal to get the 10 kills.
I like what Astral Authority did at the end there as well, because normally a lot of teams are very scared of ending the game or don't realize that they can end most of the time and will fall back. They recognize an opportunity, went for it, and I think it was the right call to do. It's a good thing to learn, is it a good call or not to try and end, because they're the risky ones sometimes.
Very important for Astral Authority now, because last week they finished 3rd place. They have 40 points from last week. They finished against Slaughter Slugs the last week, so now they advance to the round of 8. So if they win that one as well, they'll be at least guaranteed another 25 points, which would put them in a good spot to get into the relegation.
Quite possibly as well. Obviously, we're looking at the top 3 teams at least from the open bracket to try and move on to the relegations phase. And with how the games have gone so far last week and this week, we have got a bit of an interesting development in terms of it's still all up for grabs. The only team that's looking solid right now is in memory of Gabe, which is Snoopy Ionic and friends. Those guys have done work last week and they continue to do so this week.
Hopefully we're going to get to see them again in the future. For today, a lot of action to continue in today's NA SPL open bracket qualifiers.
What we're going to do then is go to a quick break and we'll be back with the quarter-final match, whichever one that will be, and we'll find out who's going to be facing off, trying to get those all-important points.